"Don't look there, off limits," the nun warned. But the mountain man looked and was horrified. The mountain man lived a quiet life in the wilderness, far away from towns, roads, and the busy world. He had spent most of his life surrounded by tall pine trees, rocky cliffs, and the sound of birds and rushing streams. He was a man of few words, someone who understood the forest and its rhythms better than people understood each other. He woke each day with the sun, hunted for food, gathered firewood, and moved through the mountains with the calm confidence of someone who had never relied on anyone but himself. Life was simple, peaceful, and predictable, or at least it used to be. One morning, as he was climbing a narrow trail, he met a traveler who spoke of a monastery high on a cliff, far above the valleys he knew so well. The traveler's voice was full of fear and fascination. He spoke of strange happenings in the monastery, of rituals that outsiders were never meant to witness, and of a strict order of monks who followed ancient rules. "Do not go there," the traveler said. "It is not a place for ordinary people. Some things are better left alone." The mountain man listened carefully, but he could not help feeling a pull toward the place. There was something in the traveler's words, a mix of danger and mystery, that awakened a curiosity he had never felt before. For several days, the mountain man thought about the monastery. He wondered what secrets it held and why people seemed so afraid of it. In the quiet of his cabin, he traced the valleys on a worn map, imagining the steep cliffs and winding paths. Eventually, his curiosity became stronger than his caution. He decided to go. After all, he told himself, he had faced cold winters, wild animals, and towering storms. Surely he could handle a monastery, even if it had secrets. The journey was not easy. The path to the monastery climbed higher than any trail he had ever followed. Trees grew thinner, replaced by jagged rocks and patches of snow that did not melt even in summer. His muscles ached, and the wind whipped around him, sharp and cold. Yet, with each step, the mountain man felt more alive. He had always known the mountains could be dangerous, but the challenge excited him. Finally, after 2 days of climbing, he caught sight of the monastery. It perched on the edge of a cliff like a crown, its white walls shining in the sunlight. It seemed impossible that people lived there, suspended between earth and sky. As he approached, he noticed the silence. There were no birds, no rustle of animals, just the wind and the distant echo of his own footsteps. A sense of unease settled over him, though he tried to push it aside. At the entrance, he was met by a nun, her face pale and serious, her eyes sharp as she looked him over. "You should not be here," she said in a calm, warning voice. "There are places in this monastery you must never enter. Do not look there, for what lies beyond is not for your eyes." The mountain man nodded, careful not to show any disrespect. He had been alone in the wilderness for so long that he knew the value of listening to warnings. Yet beneath his respect, a small spark of curiosity ignited. What could be so important that it must be hidden even from those who lived here? He tried to push the thought away as he followed her into the monastery courtyard. Inside, the monastery was even stranger than he had imagined. Monks moved with quiet precision, chanting in a language he did not understand. The walls were covered in faded paintings, showing scenes of devotion, struggle, and triumph. Candles flickered in the dim light, casting shadows that danced like living figures on the stone floor. The mountain man felt a mixture of awe and nervousness. Everything here seemed purposeful, but also secretive, as if every corner held stories that were never told. The nun led him to a simple room where he could rest. "You may stay, but remember my warning," she said. "There are things you do not understand. Curiosity can be dangerous." The mountain man agreed, though he wondered if she had ever faced danger herself. As he lay on the hard wooden bed that night, he could hear the faint chants echoing from the distant halls. Sleep came slowly. His mind wandered to the forbidden areas she had mentioned. He imagined rooms filled with ancient books, hidden artifacts, and strange objects from long ago. Each thought made his heart beat faster, a mixture of fear and excitement. The next day, he explored the monastery carefully. He noticed the gardens, where monks tended herbs and flowers with gentle hands. He saw the kitchen, where simple meals were prepared, and the library filled with dusty tomes that smelled of age and wisdom. The life here was disciplined and quiet, but there was also an unmistakable tension. Some monks avoided his gaze. Others whispered when they thought no one was listening. The mountain man realized that this was not just a place of prayer and peace. It was a place with secrets, and those secrets were taken very seriously. He spoke little, observing more than he asked questions. Every so often, the nun would remind him, "Do not go there. Remember what I said?" Each time she said it, he felt a shiver, but also an irresistible pull. He could not explain why, but the idea of the forbidden stirred something deep within him. He was a man of the mountains, accustomed to facing danger head-on, and yet this threat was different. It was not the wind, the rocks, or the cold. It was a human secret, a mystery hidden behind walls and warnings. By evening, he sat alone on a balcony overlooking the cliffs. The sun was setting, painting the sky in gold and crimson. The mountains stretched endlessly, familiar yet distant. He thought about his life in the wilderness, about the solitude he had always cherished, and yet, for the first time, he wondered if there was more to the world than the mountains, more to life than survival. The monastery held a story he did not yet understand, and the warning of the nun echoed in his mind like a distant bell. The mountain man knew he was at a crossroads. He could continue to explore, respecting the rules and boundaries, or he could let his curiosity guide him toward the unknown. The fear he felt was sharp, but not paralyzing. He was drawn to the mystery, sensing that what lay beyond the forbidden doors was powerful and important. As night fell, he wrapped himself in a blanket, staring at the stars, wondering what secrets the monastery might hide. He did not yet know that his choice would change his life forever, that one glance at the wrong place would expose him to horrors he could never forget. For the first time in his life, the mountain man felt that life was no longer predictable, no longer simple. The monastery was more than walls and rituals. It was a world of hidden truths, and he had stepped onto its edge. He had arrived as a visitor, curious but cautious. But soon he would have to decide whether to heed the warning or to look where he had been told not to. And as he drifted into restless sleep, the echoes of the nun's voice seemed to follow him. "Do not look there. It is off limits." The mountain man woke the next morning with a strange feeling. The monastery, which had seemed peaceful yesterday, now felt heavier, as if it held invisible eyes that followed his every move. He stepped outside into the courtyard, the cold morning air biting at his skin, and noticed that the monks were unusually quiet. Their chants were softer, almost hurried, and some disappeared into rooms he had not yet seen. He sensed that there were rules here he did not fully understand, rules that were not written anywhere but were deeply enforced. He began his day by exploring the areas open to him. The gardens were neat, with flowers and herbs growing in carefully arranged patterns. Monks tended the plants with patient hands, but even here, he noticed something odd. Some of the plants were strange, unlike anything he had seen in the wild mountains. Their colors were sharp, almost glowing, and their scents were strong and unfamiliar. One monk noticed him staring and gave a small, warning shake of the head. The mountain man nodded.